Hi guys, so this is part 2 of the what I've learned and what I've done in high school so far. So yeah, and I talked in my first part how it's every other day that we have school. So first day I had literature, which is like English basically, they call it literature, I don't know why. And they have Spanish and dance. So first day in literature, I've heard a lot of people say that the teacher was really bad. Like, the class I had was really, really bad. Like, she just didn't know what to do. Like, I don't know, she's really harsh and really picky. But when my first impression, she looked really nice and cool, and she looked pretty understandable. So, didn't have a big problem with her. She kind of butchered my Vietnamese name, but everyone does for the past few years. And no homework, no major, just sign a syllabus, which I think first day of school everyone does, which kind of gets annoying. So that was simple. In Spanish class was kind of a different story though, because I actually got lost on my way to Spanish because it was in a different building, and there's this 7-story building, which is the school itself, and then you have to walk a little bit to get to this other building, which is also part of the school. I didn't know this building had 2 sections. Like, there's one part of it that has one door. There's another part that's double doors. I just kept going into the single door one and trying to find the room, but it was not there. And I got lost. I went back into the 7-story building, went into the office, asked them where it is, and they said that building. So I went back, and I'm like, they don't have this classroom here. So I went to ask a teacher, and she told me it's in the double doors. So that's how I found it. But I wasn't late or anything though. I had like extra 3 minutes. And I have a 10-minute passing period because the whole school goes through the 7-story stairs. We can't go through the elevators. They don't let us. Only teachers and kids with like bone problems or anything, like crutches, wheelchairs, can go in the elevator. And kids who have big instruments like cellos and giant guitars or something, only they can use elevators. We have to use the stairs. So we have 10-minute passing period. So when I got in there was like this loud fiesta music going on. It was just loud and crazy, and I thought it was a party in there. There were just kids just sitting down, and the Spanish teacher saying hola to everyone, and yeah, and she spoke Spanish the whole entire time. I kind of understood her because my parents work with Spanish people, like Spanish speaking people, so I hear that sometimes, and I kind of get it, kind of. Plus there's English, there's Spanish. English came out as Spanish, I think. So there's that. So I kind of understood. And we spent most of the time trying to figure out our names, since in Spanish class you have to have a Spanish name. And there's also French class, which means you have a French name. So kind of simple like that. And I saw Maria was up there. So I'm like, my name's already Maria as it is, since that's my English name. So why not just take that one since I'm used to it. So I took it. But my other choice was Elena or Katarina because it reminds me of Vampire Diaries. I don't know, I just like it. So yeah, and it was funny because all the guys wanted a girl to pick Guadalupe. I don't know why they like that name. To me that name sounds like a cantaloupe. I don't know why it reminds me of it, but it's a cool name. But no one really picked it because it was kind of long, and we just wanted a simple name. And everyone laughed when a girl picked Olga. I don't know why they laugh at that. I think it's a pretty unique name. So it's pretty, like, all the Spanish names are pretty cool that they picked. So yeah. And the guys, one of them was named Ricardo. But then another student in the class picked Ricardo. So that guy had to pick another name. He picked Pedro. I don't know how Ricardo turns into Pedro, but he picked Pedro. So that's kind of weird. So yeah, and then we just kind of learned like this kind of conversation thing. Like, she had a PowerPoint and she made us speak to each other in this conversation, like a dialogue, screenplay, whatever. And we walked around talking to each other like that. It's kind of awkward since I didn't know anyone. So that's how it started there, and then we had lunch. And the line for lunch was really, really long, and it's on the 2nd floor instead of the 1st. I thought it'd be the 1st. Roomier down there, and I think it'd be easier, but since the kitchen is upstairs, I think can't really do much about it. It's not like you can like roll the whole entire cafeteria downstairs, which is kind of difficult. So yeah, and the lunch line was really long because there were a mixture of kids who had free lunch, which was me, and there were some people who had to pay for their lunch. And there was a giant menu that hung above the cashier or checkout line or whatever. I don't know what you call it. And there were people who looked up there and stuff, and I looked up there because I was just curious to see what the heck they have. And they were really pricey. The average, like, just entree, like, meal is, the cheapest one was $2.50. The cheapest drink was $1, and the snacks were $1 to $1.50. So it's about a $5 lunch every single day. And they didn't use money, they didn't use cash. They used these like debit cards. It's RRD card, but you put money in it through the school account, the school website account. And you put your money into there from the credit card, and that's how you pay for your lunch for the kids. Since I didn't, I have free lunch because of my parents' low income, I can just get free lunch. So yeah, and they use a fingerprint. They use a fingerprint thingy. They don't use a credit card anymore, like a debit card. I don't get that. Why would they make us have an ID card when we don't even use it? We just use our finger for everything. You use your finger to like check out books. You use your finger. They scan it to take out lunch and all that. The only problem is that the computer's down. You really don't know how you're going to pay for lunch and stuff. So that's kind of confusing. So my first day's lunch was spaghetti with salad and vegetables, and I had orange juice. Simple. Then the next class was dance. I didn't know how to dance. We actually just did warm-ups for the rest of the day, and we learned how to do jazz walks, which I sucked at. But the next few days I kind of understood it better. So that was my first day in school. So we didn't have study hall yet. It was minimum day for the first week because we were just kind of getting used to it. The next day is all my academic days. I brought all my textbooks with me, and it was a load to carry. I had to carry 2 of the books in my backpack and one I carried because it was so big. It was my biology one because the biology book is like 1,000 pages long. So for math, it was really hot in there. So there's that. There's a lot of kids. Didn't know anyone because most of them were sophomores, and I was in an honor class, so I was one of the few 9th graders there. And the teacher seemed really nice. He was Korean, and he talked about his history, what he learned, and his master's degree in math and all that. And we didn't really learn much. We just kind of sat there and chilled, I guess. And then next was biology. The teacher was, I think the teacher, she's really old, but her voice sounds really childish. It's like a really high, kind of like a 5-year-old's voice. So whenever she screams or something, I just want to laugh because it sounds like a little kid screaming or something. So that's kind of weird. But her room was actually in the other building, not the giant 7-story building. And we had to go upstairs for her room. And there are lockers in the upstairs section, so it was crazy trying to get to her class. And we couldn't really walk like normally in her class because we're upstairs and everyone downstairs can hear every single movement we make. So we had to like walk really quietly and stuff. And that was just tiring because everyone walked really slow because we had to walk quietly, and it was super duper slow, and that got annoying. And it was really cold in there. I sat way in the back, so she didn't really notice me at all. And then in geography, we were in the 5th floor, so I was panting by the time I got up there. So yeah, oh by the way, the 7-story building, the hallways are really, really small. So yeah, and the kids, they don't go when the bell rings. For example, when it's lunch, 5 minutes before lunch, you should be going upstairs because it's going to get crowded with people going up. So you have to go like 5 minutes earlier than the passing period time. So by the time I got up there, there were like a bunch of kids already up there for geography. So yeah, and it gets really hot because the hallways don't have air conditioning. And all the kids are like lined up on the walls and their feet are sticking out, so you have to like dodge their feet. In geography, we just did nothing. We just learned about the teacher and our huge project at the end of the year. So no big deal there. After about a week or two, up to current. Now I'm updating now, so at the time, okay. For literature, we have to do a dramatic dialogue, and I have to pick a poem or a song. And I'm picking poem because if I do a song, I might burst out singing. So I'm just gonna pick a poetry. And Spanish, we have a test coming up at the end of the month. Jazz, we have a routine that has to do with our name. So our name has to have a dance to it, basically. And that is kind of troublesome because my name is like one whole word. It's not like you can't split my name into two. So that's kind of difficult, but I thought of one. And we do a lot of cardio in jazz now, so that got me sore for 2 days. Okay, then math, I'm doing fine, 100% and everything so far, thank goodness, but it's gonna go down because I'm not very good at math. Biology, same thing, we're just doing little experiments, but my partner, because we have 3 people on our table, the guy next to me, he is super annoying. I hate him, alright, he's just super annoying, and he keeps on bragging about everything, uses giant words, and then acts like I'm a child. I don't know the word. And some of the words I do know, alright? I do know the words. I just don't like answering to him because he has that tone of voice, that bratty tone, that he does it purposely. And he has a habit to shake his leg, and then he puts his elbow on his leg, so his whole body basically shakes, and that gets annoying too. So there's that. Don't like him. Geography, same old, just learn about maps. So that's about it, and I'm gonna go because my time is running low. So that was my experience, and comment below if you have any questions.